Welcome to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to help you create lifelong learners and embrace a holistic approach to education at home. I'll be sharing practical strategies, inspiration, and resources to support your family. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, or balancing work and homeschool, you're in the right place to connect with a community that values education just as much as you do. Join us each week as we ditch the stress, embrace the joy of learning, and set your family up for a lifetime of success. Hello, friend, and welcome back to another episode of the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, your home education expert. And I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. I see you guys listening from all over the world, and I am just so grateful. So thank you so much. I would love to know, let's just start off by saying I would love to know where you guys are tuning in from. And I would love to connect with you deeper. So if you have not yet joined the Home Education with Ease Facebook group, I encourage you to do that. And I encourage you to hop on in there and just share a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your family. It's a private Facebook group. I make sure that I monitor everyone that comes in. And we just want to get connected. We want to build this community so you never feel like you're alone, because you're not. You're not alone. We have this community here. I'm right here to walk alongside you, and I just cannot wait to connect with you further. So that's your first thing. But today, we are going to dive into math activities. So last month in March, we talked all about reading and building confident readers. And we had an author that wrapped it all up with a great recommendation for her book to get the kids off the screens, get them outside, get them reading, and lots of life skills. So you guys know me, I am a huge advocate for real skills for our kids. Making it fun, meaningful, and individualized. That's what EduPlay Learning is all about. How can we take this one lesson and make it fun, make it meaningful, and make it individualized to meet your child's needs? So today, we're going to talk all about math activities and math ideas that I can share with you that you can try at home with your kids. Things that I've done with my kids, lessons that I've taught. A lot of these activities are part of the EduPlay Learning activity kits and curriculum and programs. So if you are like, I need more of that, check the links below and reach out to me so we can get more of that in your home, because that's what it's all about. How can we make this so you can do this with your kids? I could do it all day, every day with the kids that I see, right? And I'll tell you a funny story. I have a recurring, I don't want to say recurring, but a tutoring student that I saw when she was, 6th grade. And I was able to help her with her math and her language arts and, all of those things. Well, now she's in 9th grade, I believe, doing geometry. And her mom was like, hey, do you do geometry? Do you tutor for geometry? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I haven't really done geometry in so long. My kids are only 9 and 11, right? We haven't really done like high school geometry. But I was like, I'm sure we could figure it out, right? So I have her with me, and I've been working with her for a few weeks. And I'm wondering if I'm making a difference. Like, I'm asking her, like, is this even helping? I don't even know. Like, we're YouTubing things. We're just figuring things out together, essentially. And this last week that she worked with me, she said, thank you so much. She said, this has been so helpful because you have slowed it down enough so it's at my pace and it makes sense now. And I just was blown away by that, because I was like, that's what it's all about. It's about slowing it down just enough so our kids can grasp the skill and it makes sense to them, no matter what the skill is. It doesn't have to be geometry. It could be counting. It could be addition. It could be time, any math skill, any skill in general, right? Just slowing it down just enough so then that way they can actually understand it and it makes sense and it starts to click And no better feeling, no better watch, right? No better, no, not watch, but no better thing to experience than watching them have that aha moment of yes, I get it. I understand. So she has been crushing geometry now because we've been working together, because even if I didn't understand it 100%, I was able to slow it down, find the resources that made sense to her, and she was able to understand it better. So that is just a fun little story of how we can take any skill and really make it so it's meaningful and individualized for each child. And today what I'm going to share is I'm going to share real skills that you can do. So if you celebrate Easter, I want to say Happy Easter. And I want to say maybe you had some jelly beans, right, over Easter, or maybe you head to the store this week and you see jelly beans for, a half off or whatever. They're trying to clear out their shelves. Grab a bag of jelly beans. Now, if you are into no food dye, there are ones that have no food dye. I found ours at Sprouts. I think Trader Joe's has some as well. So keep that in mind too. Those things, a lot of jelly beans are going to have food dye in them. Not great ingredients, right? It's all sugar. However, it's a fun math activity. And if you did get jelly beans, we can use some of them up by doing math. Who would have thought? So a lot of activities that we do, it's all hands-on. And it just helps our kiddos understand it so much better. So I want you to think about your kiddo, and I want you to think, is there a math skill that they're just not understanding? Maybe you have a teacher manual and you have a workbook and you're teaching to the best of your ability of I'm teaching this lesson to you, and this is exactly what it told me to do, and this is how it told me to teach you, but they're still not getting it. What if you moved away from the paper and turned it into more of a tangible lesson? And the great thing with math is you can do that so easily with most skills. Now, if you get into higher math, it probably becomes a little bit harder, but I'm sure we're going to find ways to make it fun, right? But think about just basic counting or sorting or addition and subtraction. You could even do multiplication and division, all right? All of those skills right there that I shared with you. Graphing is another one. Probability. All right, what else? Fractions, right? We could go on and on. That one bag of jelly beans could be used for all of those skills, okay? So if your kiddos are struggling with some math skills that I just named off, grab some jelly beans or grab whatever food that, would be best suited for your family. Because like I said, I know jelly beans are full of sugar. It is a once a year kind of a thing. We do buy the non-dye, the dye-free ones, but it is still full of sugar. The kids still are going to get way too much sugar from these jelly beans. But I have a little secret here. Not really a secret, but it's just a funny thing, is that we put the candy in the pantry and they have to ask for a piece of candy or whatever. They just can't eat whatever they want. And we literally had a jar of jelly beans, like a mason full jar of jelly beans that had been in the pantry for the entire year. They literally just finished the jelly beans that we had from last year in February. So just kind of keep that in mind. Whenever they do get jelly beans, you could be doing this math activity, but you could say, but we're only going to eat 4 or 5 of them. So you're allowed to put those limits, right? You can say, you know what, this is full of sugar. We're not going to eat 10 of these, maybe 10 of them, but we're not going to eat a bunch, a whole, bag of them because it's not good for us. So there's our little health conscious message there as well. So, all right, let's get back to the math activities. So bag of jelly beans, you put them in a bowl, ask your kids to sort them. That's the first activity. Sort them by color or sort them by if they're speckled ones, right? They're going to sort them. Then what they're going to do is they are going to count them. And they're going to count each color or each pattern, whatever it is. And they're going to make sure that they mark that down. Oh, there's, 7 red ones and there's 11 yellow ones, right? So mark that down. So now they have sorted and they have counted. And the next activity you could do with that is graphing. Or you can even just ask them questions. Which one has more? Which one has less? Which one has the same? Are there any that are, is there one that is more than this one? So say you have, 7 red and 11 yellow. Which one is less than the yellow, right? Or which one is more than the red? So you can ask these questions. And if you need help with these things, reach out, because this is what I love to do. I love to take a skill and dive in and say, I can help you teach that in a way that makes sense for your kids, right? Because it makes sense to you, right? But if they're just not grasping it, how can we make it make sense to them? So that's the third thing, right? We're going to sort, we're going to count, we're going to graph them. So we'll ask the questions first, right? So that's 3. Now 4 would be to graph them. So you can have it where it's already written at the bottom of your page. And I do have a Jelly Bean Math activity and activity sheets ready to go. And I will gift them to you this week. If you are in the Facebook group, you find the Jelly Bean video, and if you drop a comment, and I will gift it. Say, I listened to episode 119, and I would love to grab the activity sheets that you have for this, all right? Or send me a DM, okay? And I will share the activity sheets with you complimentary, okay? So what you're going to do then is you're going to have your kiddos graph them. And then again, you're going to ask those questions. Which color had more? Which color had less? How many does this one have, right? We already did those, but now we can see it in a graph. Now let's take it one step further and let's do some addition. If I have 7 red and I have 11 yellow, how many do I have all together? Or we could do the subtraction of that all, right? If I have 20 and I take 10 away, how many do I have all together? All right. So you can use these jelly beans for so many things. All right. You could even get a measuring cup and measure out, scoops of jelly beans. You can do that with regular beans as well, right? So you could do some measurement. I'm trying to think what else. So all of these things. You could do multiplication and division as long as you have enough. Definitely division, multiplication. You probably could do, a bag of jelly beans has a decent amount in them. So you could do multiplication facts too. And you could do division. And by making these skills so accessible to them right in front of them, it's going to click a little bit more. It's going to help make sense to them instead of just having a flashcard. So while there is a time and a place to memorize our facts, sometimes our kids need these tangible activities to be able to make it all make sense, for it all to click. So, and then once it does click and once they see what we're actually doing, what is the actual skill, now practice with the flashcards. Hold up a flashcard and say, okay, the flashcard is 2 plus 3. I want you to get me 2 jelly beans, and I want you to get me 3 jelly beans, and I want you to tell me how many do we have all together. So now we're combining. One, we're just playing a game practically with jelly beans. And then the next step is taking that flashcard, whichever operation it is. It could be any operation. So now they are able to see the numbers and do it, right? They're able to see the math problem and do the math problem with the jelly beans in front of them. So those are some of my favorite jelly bean activities. And like I said, if you would like those, check out the Home Education with Ease Facebook group, and I will share them with you. So that is one of my favorite activities to do during this time of year for sure. And you could do it anytime. Like I said, you could do it with anything, right? All of those activities that I just shared with you can be completed with anything. It doesn't even have to be food related. But a lot of times when it is food related, our kids are like, ooh, I get a snack afterwards, right? So I'm trying to think of a food. You could do it with fruit, right? You could do it with blueberries. You could do it with raisins. You could do it with nuts. Like there are so many healthy options that you can do as well. But obviously a lot of the easier things that I can think of, right? Jelly beans, Skittles and M&Ms, like those are things that you could do easily. You could also do it with cereal, different types of cereal. So keeping in mind, there's definitely lots of options that you can do. You could do it with cars. You could do it with beads. You could do it with beans, straws. So many different ideas that you guys can practice math skills with by using items that you already have in your home, things that you don't even need to purchase. But if you do want to purchase the activity sheets, like I said, the Easter ones, the jelly bean ones, I'm going to give them to you complimentary. But if you would like additional activity sheets, so then that way you can use them again and again and again, let me know and we can make that happen. All right. So let's talk other math activities. So we know jelly beans and we know all the basic math skills, right? Computation skills, which is your counting, your graphing, your sorting, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. All of those you could do those with any of those activities, right? Let's talk about time. Let's talk about measurement. Let's talk about fractions. All of these math activities, money, right? They're around you all the time. And we can teach them to our children all the time in a very quick lesson, right? Talk about time. You can talk to them about when you have to get ready by and when you have to leave. So we have to be ready by 7 a.m. and we're going to leave at 9 a.m. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some numbers, right? So how many hours is that? Well, from 7 to 8 and 8 to 9, 2 hours, right? Or I have 2 hours to get ready. It's 7 a.m. and I have to be ready by 9 a.m. How many hours is that, right? Talk to them about time. Tell them how much time you have until you have to go. Well, we only have 15 minutes until we have to leave. It's 9:45. What time will it be when it's time for us to leave? 15 minutes. Let's look on our clock, right? And that would be 10 o'clock. So have these conversations with them, just real conversations, real life, things that are already happening. And I know a lot of times, I actually had a conversation with a grandma, like she's actually a grandma now, and she was talking to me about complimenting me, I guess, on the work that I'm doing with my kids. You know, how they're up there doing their own laundry, or they are working on whatever they were working on, right? And she was like, I thought I was helping my kids out by doing all the things for them. And really, I was doing a disservice to them because when they moved out, they didn't know how to do all of these things. So, and the reason I say that is because her last comment was, a lot of times I just wanted to get the task done. I didn't want to wait on them to do it. And I totally get that. That's patience. I prayed for patience for years when my kids were little because I knew that I wanted to instill those skills into them. And I knew that my mind was constantly like, we got to go to the next thing. We got to go to the next thing. We got to go to the next thing, right? There's always something else. And I just prayed for it. And I was able then to slow down enough to teach them these skills in real time. And that's what it's all about. That's how the real life learning actually happens. By saying like, all right, it's time to get ready for piano lessons. What time do we have to leave the house by? Well, we have to leave by 2 o'clock. What time, how long does it take to get there? It takes us about 20 minutes to get there. What time will we be there? What time do your lessons start? How long are your lessons, right? By just having these conversations, and they can happen in the car. They can happen at the kitchen table. All of these conversations can happen while you are potentially doing something else, right? While you're making dinner, while you're eating dinner, while you're on your way to piano lessons, while you're on your way to school, right? All of these ideas and activities can happen throughout your day in a very easy way. So it is not adding more to your plate, but it is kind of having a mindset shift of saying, hold on, I can teach them this skill in a few minutes in real time so they actually understand it. And guess what? They may not understand it right away, right? It may take multiple times to talk about it, and that's okay. That's what it's all about. It's about consistency and being repetitive with what we are saying to them. They're not listening they're not learning everything the first time that they hear it. It's over and over and over again, right? That's how they're learning, and that's how they're listening, or that's how they're learning and understanding. And then by doing it, that actually helps them learn it faster. So keep that in mind. And if you can incorporate all of the 5 senses, right, maybe not touch or maybe not taste, right? But if you can incorporate touching it by doing the skill somehow, some way, whether it's moving a clock, whether it's using objects and items to add or subtract, or fractions, right? All of these things. Maybe not smell either. I guess multi-sensory, but maybe not all the senses. But can they visually see it, right? Either it's right there in front of you, or maybe you found a video that they can watch it and listen to it. So are they visual? Are they auditory, or are they hands-on and they want to do it, right? So, and that is what EduPlay Learning curriculum is all about. So if you are in need of videos and explanations and things like that, feel free to reach out. Let's chat, because I have an entire vault of videos and activities and curriculum that would be helpful for you and your family. So let's talk about measurement, right? How can we do measurement in fractions? The best place is the kitchen. Get in the kitchen, let your kids in the kitchen, and let them use the measuring spoons. Let them use the measuring cups. Let them get the water from the fridge with the measuring cup and see, oh, you know what? I only need 8 ounces, or I need 1 cup. Again, it's good for those conversions, right? We could talk about ounces and cups and liters and gallons. And we could talk about teaspoons and tablespoons and all of those things, right? Pounds and ounces if we're going to be doing measurement like with flour, right? Let them get in the kitchen and let them help. Again, yes, it will take more time. It could take more time, and it could be a little bit more messy. But guess what? Those are the memories that they're going to remember forever. That, to me, makes it all worth it. That yes, it took me 10 extra minutes, and yes, there may be a bigger mess, but guess who's going to help clean up that mess? They are. And then guess what? We are laughing, we are having fun, and if getting in the kitchen is so stressful for you, take a deep breath and just try doing something so easy and so simple. Maybe you're just measuring out water. Just ease into it, one thing at a time. One little piece at a time. Because I understand how sometimes it can be very stressful to be in situations with our kids and they're talking and they're making noise and we're just trying to either follow a recipe, right? So I would not recommend bring them in the kitchen when you're learning how to make a new recipe. That is not the time, right? But maybe you're making a smoothie. You can't really mess up a smoothie, right? Not too bad anyway. Let them help measure out the milk. Let them help scoop out the berries. Let them add the protein powder, right? It's getting them comfortable in the kitchen with those little things, and then work your way up. So my kids now, they're making cookies on their own. Like Ella had to make cookies for her Bible study group, and she's like, I got this, Mom. I can make the chocolate chip cookies. And I was like, perfect. And they were delicious. So one day at a time, one small activity at a time, one conversation at a time makes a huge difference, more than you can even imagine. One final activity that I'm going to share with you that I can think of Oh, and we're going to talk about fractions too. I'll tell you about fractions and then we'll get to this last activity. Fractions in the kitchen as well. Fractions on the measuring cups, right? And the measuring spoons, but also a pizza or a pie or what else can you cut? A tortilla, right? Just take a tortilla and start cutting a tortilla in half and in fourths, right? You could do quesadillas with them, right? So those are some of the things that you can use that you probably already purchase or have and make it easy to kind of teach them about fractions. This is one whole. Now I'm going to cut it in half. You get a half and I get a half, right? How many pieces are there? There's 2 pieces, one for you, one for me. And if I put them both together, now how many pieces are there together? 2 pieces out of 2 pieces, which makes one whole, right? So you can easily incorporate fractions into your kitchen conversation as well. And again, it doesn't have to be a cooking lesson. It could just be sitting at the kitchen table and maybe they have tortillas or cheese or pepperoni, who knows what it is, right? Something little, and you just cut it up and you show them how you can cut that into pieces for a fraction, right? You can even slice an apple into a round slice and cut the apple slice in half, right? All right. The final activity that I want to leave you with is something that I would do with my kids when they were little before they can really go down the steps by themselves. Like that's really where this activity came from. They couldn't walk down the steps by themselves. They were just little, right? They were toddlers. And so I would hold their hand and we would walk down the steps together. Never prevented them from going up and down the steps because I wanted them to learn how to do it. I wanted them to know how to walk up the steps and how to walk down the steps. And I wanted them to know a safe way to go up, a safe way to go down, and that they needed to hold on to my hand, right? Just really teaching them the right and wrong here, what they should do and what they shouldn't do. They are very smart and they are attaining this knowledge very, very easily, right? They're soaking it up. So what I would do is I would hold their hands and we would walk down the steps and we would count each step as we walk down. And it just helped them to practice counting. The same way that when we washed hands, again, they were toddlers. They weren't doing this themselves. I was doing it with them. And we would wash hands and we would sing the ABCs together. So they were hearing these things over and over and over again. And it made it very easy for them to say their alphabet, sing their alphabet, and to be able to count to 20 because it was something that they were doing daily. So keep that in mind. What are some little things that didn't add any time to my day, right? We were already washing hands, so we just sang the ABC song. We were already walking down the steps, so we just counted, right? So there's so many little skills that you can incorporate into your day to help your kiddos. Now, if your kiddos are older, again, you're going to have to be more intentional about how do we make this relevant. And sometimes if your kids are in school, some of the lessons, I'm like, I don't know how to make this relevant. There's just a little real talk for you right now where sometimes I'm like, really, how are we going to use this? You know, that's always the question. When am I ever going to use this in my life? And sometimes I'm like, I really don't know, but I know that you need to know this. So keep that in mind too. Sometimes we just need another way to explain it. And maybe that's a video. Maybe that's someone else explaining the same skill to them in a different way. Because sometimes it just needs to be something different, right? Kind of like a reset. Like, oh, you know what? I really wasn't understanding it this way, but I do understand it that way. Even if it seems like it was the same lesson, it doesn't matter, right? It's a win, right? We just want wins for our kids. We want them to be able to understand and learn the skill. That's it. Doesn't matter who it comes from, doesn't matter how they learn it, as long as they learn it. So, well, thank you so much for tuning in. I would love to connect with you further in the Home Education with Ease Facebook group. Remember, if you comment that you heard it from me here, to grab that complimentary Jelly Bean Math activity those activity sheets, let me know and I will get those to you, or send me a DM as well, and I will get that to you as well. And next week, we're going to be talking about, we're well into spring, right? We have been doing a lot of resetting here. We rent our house out for masters in Augusta, Georgia. So we have been doing a lot of decluttering and cleaning up and resetting. We're not going to just talk about that. We're also going to talk about how can we reset our home? How can we get into this good rhythm for the rest of this year, wherever you are, it's April. So if your kids are in school, they probably have a couple more months. If you're homeschooling, you probably still have a couple more months, but the weather has turned and everyone is just itching to get outside and do all the fun things, and we need to change it up. So how do we reset so then that way we have a new rhythm to get us through the next months until we get to summer? And we're going to talk all about that next week. And we're going to talk about so many different ways to get that reset, in all different areas of our lives. So tune in next week for that. But thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. And remember to see each moment as a chance to learn, create, and have fun. Bye, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling empowered and ready to take the next steps on your home education journey. Your support means the world to me. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. For even more resources, be sure to join the free Facebook group, Home Education with Ease, and visit EduPlayLearning.com to explore our programs and subscription kits. You can find the links and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. Remember, you're not alone. This community is here to support you every step of the way.